fanfiction we are going to be talking about is called Blissful Oblivion by Itanna. I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Your username will be linked in the description with the story. This is actually one of my favorites right here. Okay. This one's my favorite because I personally love stories where there's just like person A is like all stoic or like refusing to be affectionate or accepting any kind of love. And then person B who is just like, love me. Love me. Because I'm totally 100% person B. Yeah, I'm a cuddler. Anyway, we're just gonna go on and talk about the summary real quick, and then we are gonna go talking about pros and cons, and then we are gonna give it a unicorn rating, okay? And then I will read an excerpt from this as well. So, Yami and Yugi meet the same but a little bit different in this story, and it is actually from Yami's perspective in the puzzle as Yugi is putting it back together, and it is even a little thought process on how the pharaoh ended up in that puzzle and why he did. Obviously, if you saw the show by now, and you obviously know, or maybe you forgot because it's been quite some time. Because I know I'm watching it with my little brothers right now, and there's a lot of stuff I forgot. Anyway, so it's a different kind of meeting here. They soul bond, and he's got the pyramid. He put the millennial puzzle together, and Yami did come out, but he's not the Yami, protective, caring Yami we know and love yet, because Ra has a glorious sense of humor. The Yami we get in this story in the beginning is a harsher version of the one, and does not like Yami or Yugi very much, because Yugi is all happy and go lucky and smiley, and Yami just is not. He's not. He's going to like regular school and stuff. There's not too much into dueling. So that is like what makes it really interesting, is that it's set like the same with the puzzle, with the millennial puzzle, and just like dealing with bullies and stuff, and kind of upset at Joey and Tristan for not protecting him better, and you're gonna love how Yami protects him, because who doesn't love it when Yami is protecting Yugi? So we go from this harsher version of Yami into slowly, because you can't resist Yugi. He goes into loving Yugi eventually, I will tell you that much. But the events that lead it up in the jealousy scenes, Yami settled down over there. Yes, this is a puzzle shipping fanfic, but like I said, I don't even ship them, but I liked this story. Okay, I can appreciate a well-written story, a put-together plot, and this story, it felt finished. And this is my #1 pet peeve, is I don't care what story it is, it needs to have an ending for me. I need to feel like I just read the end of the story, now I just read the end of a chapter, and now I can go on reading it tomorrow, because it's just a tease. Honestly, it's a tease. Please write endings if you write fanfiction. Please, when you end your story, please have an ending, and I loved that this had such a good ending. Like, gah, I can't give away the ending because that would be a hugely rude thing for me to do, and I won't do it. Character development on this was fantastic, I think, especially on Yami, just because of the whole transition, and it's a very natural transition. Like, he's like, no, I don't want to do this, and a lot of times, it's another thing I see in a lot of fanfiction, is that it doesn't completely go, like, it's just like 0 to 60 like super quick, and this wasn't like that at all. This was just like, I feel Yami's frustration, I feel it. I also feel Yugi's, because he's a precious cinnamon, he needs to be protected, and he gets bullied. Okay, he gets bullied. I think I said that already, but he gets bullied, and I'm upset about it. And Tristan and Joey, you need to get on your game, because that's your buddy. And Yami does lick icing, or not icing, whipped cream and syrup off of Yugi's face. I will leave you at that. I will let you read the story. I will tell you what chapter it's in. So this was just a really nice, like, thawing out story as Yami learns, like, happiness and love, and it's just so interesting, because Yugi even asks him, like, do you even know what happiness is? And he's just like, no, I've never felt that in my life. Okay, so we're gonna move on to cons in this story. So the cons were the ending. This is 100% personal preference. I think I mentioned it just before, but the ending did get the last chapter, like the last half of the last chapter, did get a little too hot and heavy for my personal taste. but that is literally just me, okay? Like, I'm a little bit prudish when it comes to this stuff. It makes it really interesting when I'm reading. Like, I did not read 50 Shades of Grey. Did not read it. Couldn't do it. Anyway, 100% personal preference. Nothing distasteful on the author's part. I just want to throw in warnings for, like, people who are like me and a little bit more sensitive to a little hotter scenes, I guess we could say. Heavy scenes. Just if you're a little sensitive to that, you might want to, like, skim over the last chapter like I did. But the rest of the story is completely well balanced and a good, I'm going to say the word balance again, but there's another word I'm trying to figure out here. Yeah, it's just a good balance. Every other chapter is a great balance of that, but it did feel natural leading up into that last chapter. Just not my cup of tea. The story could use some revising, like every fanfic out there, because when you write a fanfic, you pretty much just write it for the enjoyment of it and not for getting it perfect. But I mean, other than that, there's not a whole lot to complain about. What I loved about this story, other than obviously like the Yami development, was it felt completed again. Number one to issue, it felt completed, or not issue, but this one felt completed. It was a really good length, actually. It was a great length. I did want, like, if there was more of it, I would have not had any problem going on and reading more, but this just, it felt well paced, ended in a good span of time, wasn't too drug out, wasn't like super 0 to 60 too fast. And the writing was detailed, I will say that. The writing was good. It was good writing, good detailed writing is what it was. If I could stop stuttering, that'd be fantastic. How many unicorn stickers are we going to give this? We are going to give this 5 out of 5 unicorn stickers because of the great writing on top of the good storyline. I just feel like when you have both of those, like, you can get away with either or. Like, if you have good writing and like a weak storyline, like in fanfiction, it doesn't bother me as much because in fanfiction you have all this backstory on these characters and you already know these characters, so like you're there just to enjoy the ride. If you have both of these in a fanfiction, every time it's going to be 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 unicorn stickers for Blissful Oblivion by Itanna on Wattpad, and her information will be linked in the description below, both her profile and the story that you should 100% go check out. I will just take 1 second here to read you a excerpt from her story to give you just a little bit of a taste, so I can just like hook you and pull you in, and you can enjoy this story just as I did. This is, I'm not sure what chapter it is, but I think it's chapter 14. Well, I suppose that it doesn't matter now, he murmurs without looking at me, he being Yugi. His small hands trembling slightly in his lap. Joey didn't get hurt in an attempt to protect me, so mission complete, mission accomplished. I wouldn't consider it as such. Of course you wouldn't, Yugi says, a slight note of disdain in his voice. Everything I do is weak and pathetic or wrong in your opinion, so it really shouldn't surprise me that you wouldn't consider my sacrifice to be successful. That right there is why I don't consider it to be a success, I say with a small smirk as I slowly make my way to the side of the bed. Yugi watches me with curious and wary eyes as I come to stand beside him. As soon as I pause, he scoots a little farther away from me, but I can't really bring myself to care at that moment. The fact that you called it a sacrifice, that's where you failed in my eyes. I don't understand. Allow me to enlighten you, I say as I take a seat on the edge of the bed. Yugi hurriedly shuffles away from me, but I grab his wrist and pull him back. You should never sacrifice your own well-being for the happiness of someone else. I bring my face dangerously close to his, our electric blonde bangs clashing against one another. Your sacrifice would have been meaningless to begin with. You don't know what you're talking about, he snaps in protest. Joey is only happy because he believes you to be happy, I answer, completely ignoring his previous statement. He would have helped you if you had merely asked him for the help, but you chose to take it in silence. Perhaps it was because you thought you were thinking of your friend's well-being, but in reality, our foreheads bump slightly, and Yugi's eyes go so wide as he stares into my crimson eyes, darker than any amount of blood. You only take the beatings because you believe that you deserved it. There is a tense moment of silence that passes before Yugi even dares to breathe. His face has gone pale and his hand is trembling, but I can't bring myself to release my grip on him. A part of me never wants to let go. How do you know all of this? Yugi whispers through trembling lips. It's impossible that you should know all of this. I understand you far better than anyone else ever could, Yugi, I murmur softly, my voice quiet. You and I are a lot alike. Is that why you hate me? Yugi whispers, his voice breathy and soft. That's all you get. Go check out the story Blissful Oblivion on Wattpad. Here is the title, here is the cover, here is the user, and the link to her story will be in the description below.